Hello Aquarius, this is going to be your March through April reading for 2020. I hope you're all having a safe 2020 so far. And I did mention that I think it was back in July or August of, excuse me, so in July of August of 2019, I mentioned that there would be something really problematic in the global collective. And here we are. We have a lot of people being affected by this virus. And in case you didn't read the description, I mentioned that between June and August, I think we'll get a break. And then I think in September, we're looking at some more potential problems. I don't know if they'll be this big, but it's hard to say because it's so far away. All right, Aquarius, let's see what's going on with you. For some of you, and I mentioned this in a couple of the other readings for some of the signs, you may be one of the people sort of hoarding supplies right now. And this may be because your friends are doing it, you're doing it, you're in a group of people, your family's doing it, and so you're thinking, okay, we're all on the same page. And I've said this before, I think some people in families or groups of friends, even if they disagree, they're very reluctant to speak up because then you're the odd man out and it draws attention that maybe you don't want. This may be a trait that you're sort of aggravated with right now, aggravated with yourself about it. I wonder if I can straighten this out a little bit. Well, that's a little bit better. There we go. And I think it's something you wish you could do a little bit more. Or maybe keep your, again, Aquarius people they can be a little flighty, or their opinions change from day to day. If you're in tune with that energy, you'll know that to just sort of say something that you can't commit to or that you might change your mind about is not great, because then people hold you to it. Or they might think you're flaky or things like that. But there's a lot of opposing energy in this reading. And a lot of it has to do with you internally feeling torn. But more important than that, there's really a sense that if you come forward, let's just use what's going on now as an example. If you said, I really don't want to hoard all these supplies. I really think it's kind of crazy. I think our freezer's full, our pantry's full. We now have 3,000 feet of toilet paper. We couldn't use this in a year if we tried. You just really don't want to deal with the headache of someone coming back to you with that authoritarian attitude of, sort of crapping all over what you have to say. It's not even worth it to you. In the bigger picture, you're thinking, maybe if you could develop that kind of a voice for yourself, that might be pretty cool, because you see the way people react to other people that have that. I think around you, you may have parents or friends. It's definitely someone that's coupled up, and there's sort of conflict going on with them, and they may be coming to you to cry on your shoulder, which is difficult because you're hearing both sides of the story. And at this point, you really don't want to be involved in that conversation. You would really just love to, the conversation going on in your head and what you actually say are two different things. You'd love to be like, listen, I don't have time for this. I have my own things going on. There's a global problem happening right now that's grabbing everyone's attention because everyone is feeling the same fear and concern, which tends to be unlike other problems at different times in history, because it's easy for people to sort of say, well, it's not in my backyard, so I don't care, but this is in everyone's backyard. And maybe you're thinking just deeper thoughts about it, what does this mean for humanity? What does this mean for people in general? Is it time to sort of employ the love thy neighbor thing? And so to hear them bickering on this level about, who has more toilet paper, or who, it's almost like a weird little competition. It's sort of beneath, your energy field at this point. That being said, what comes out of your mouth is you're kind of like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. Yeah, maybe you're just not saying too much. With these friends of yours, you just want to be like, I don't want to hear you're arguing. You guys have been arguing for 5 years. You're still together. You're married. Why did you even do this if you're going to grab everyone's ear and complain about it? These several cards jumped out before before I turned on the camera. So let's see what they are. You have forgiveness, ask for help from others, and recovery. This talks to me about the people that you find to be ignorant, that really aggravate the hell out of you. Maybe instead of pushing that agenda where you see, posts about it and self-improvement posts where it's like, love them, tolerate them, or on the other side of the spectrum, you have people saying just everything is toxic, cut it out of your life. Everything that's toxic, cut it out of your life. That's not a realistic thing. And for some reason, these weird attitudes have taken over places in society, and they're just not that simple. I think people want them to be, and I think they like answers about, simple answers about really complicated human nature. So they're like, yeah, toxic, just cut it out of my life, whatever. But what this reading talks to me about is instead of viewing these people as some sort of toxic force or some terrible force, maybe to approach them with some forgiveness, because you have to remember that when somebody is that aggressive, when they have to take over the whole conversation, when they have to do these things, that's someone that's hurting in some way. And I know that's a difficult concept. The concept of forgiving somebody for being an a-hole in your presence or sucking up your time is really complicated, but you may try to approach it from that view, like having sympathy for someone that isn't feeling strong at that moment. And they're definitely not the type of person who's wired to ask for help, or who's even interested in recovering from their own problems, whatever they may be. So you may try to raise your vibration to that level. And, I put something about it in the description, but I'm very concerned right now about where the tarot readers and astrologers and things are, because I think there are a lot of great ones in the community. And I think there were a lot of people that maybe for fun or for whatever reason just sort of jumped into it and created a lot of buzzwords and problematic concepts. And so, the trust in this sort of thing is a little shaky. I also put in the description what I think the mark for some more reliable people are versus people that are doing it for fun. So, that's what I would say in terms of March through April. I understand this feeling about just wanting to get away, from these people. It strikes me that these are not necessarily people you can get away from. These are people that might be in your everyday. If you're young and you live at home, if you're married and you have in-laws and they live close by, things like that. But you might look for a third opinion, instead of there being two sides, which is yours and theirs. Somewhere, somebody has to think the way you do. Maybe there's an aunt that no one's talked to in years. She's kind of weird. She wears a lot of flowy robes, and then when you go and explore a conversation with her, you're like, oh, okay, there you go. She's actually a cool person with a different way of thinking, and they just kind of aren't interested in hearing it. So I would do that, Aquarius. I would find those people close to you, they're probably closer than you think, that will offer you a little bit of a reprieve. They may also have insight for you as to why these people are like that. They might know a little more about their history, and I think that'll be helpful for you in piecing that all together. As always, take care.